Being legally blind may sound problematic to most audiences, but did you know that there can be some blessings for it? Hi, I'm Jimi Hendrick, and this is Empower Your Pattern 2.0. There are success patterns to help you receive more, to help you live a better and extraordinary life. In this podcast, I give you these spiritual and temporal tips to help you overcome the adversities of everyday life. I'm Jimi Hendrick. I am a success, confidence, and thrive coach. A member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And if you'll come with me, I will show you these success patterns. Let's go. Okay, guys, there's also going to be a YouTube video on this as well. So, why don't I just go ahead and bring this up? I have here, against the wall behind my couch, my trusty 63-inch National Federation of the Blind cane. And I use that cane and another folding cane whenever I go out somewhere that involves steps or crowds or anything like that, if you know what I mean, so that I can navigate. Now, I'll be honest with you. Some of you probably think of blindness as like this terrible curse. You know what I mean? It's like this terrible curse, and it doesn't. You feel like it doesn't go away. That's what I felt. It was because of some stigma that was attached to it at the time. And I remember when I was in high school, I prayed to God with all my heart that there would be a surgery to get my eyesight restored. But then there came some fears that I could become a vegetable and the like. But I was determined to have the surgery. Then, here's what's happened at the time. 3 people got it. Actually, it was a tag team of 4 people. The first one was my mother. And she said, James, son, if God wanted you to see, He would have already made it apparent. You need to start looking at your blindness as a blessing. Okay? And so, that was a huge part of what I wrestled with. But I still wanted the surgery. But my best friend in high school at the time, his name was Ricky. He told me, he said, Jimmy, God made you as a perfect you. There's nothing wrong with you that you can't see. You're fine. You're made perfect in His image, my friend. And then, I'll never forget this. Early 1991 was my senior year in high school. It was like the same day, tag team, first my vision resource teacher. She said, you're going to the eye doctor today. I found out from your parents. You ask him. Because he'll tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you. James, they would have to touch your brain. And it wouldn't be worth it. But over the years, I have had people from my birth father to some other people saying, oh, please, you want to see. Oh, please, you want to see. Oh, please, you want to see. And sometimes I've had to tell those people to, basically leave me alone about that. Because what it was doing is it was trying to reinforce something that I think that the enemy of our souls tries to tell us. If you have a disability, that is a curse. It's not a curse. It's not a curse. We're each called to endure different things during mortality. And it's those things that we endure that in some ways become a better part of who we are. And so, after I discovered it wasn't such a bad idea, being legally blind, a few months later, I graduated from high school. I went to the Chris Cole Rehabilitation Center for the Blind in Austin. And I received a couple months training there. I learned some alternative techniques, such as using a cane and also PreCaning. What that is if your body senses that there's like a branch or something ahead of you, you reach out with your other hand that you're not using your cane, and you grab a hold of that thing so that it doesn't harm you. It's called PreCaning. And I remember one day I was walking, it was Christmas one year. I was walking in the mall, trying to catch up to my father. I was outside the mall trying to catch up to my father to go eat lunch. And a branch hit me in the head. And luckily I had my cane, and I told myself, okay, I said, Jimmy, hello, use the skills that you got. Use PreCaning. See, I didn't know what PreCaning was until after I discovered that the blindness was not a curse. And I had help from friends of mine in the National Federation of the Blind that taught me that blindness is just a physical characteristic, like other, characteristics. There's no limitations. God gave it to me as a blessing. I mean, look, I'm able to podcast to you guys. Most of the time it's on my phone. Sometimes it's on my computer. Say if I want an audience. But you know what I mean. I'll tell you something, guys. God calls us for so much more. And, of course, there's this misconception that, well, the guy is blind. So why would he care about cars? Just because a person is blind doesn't mean that person doesn't care about the same thing as you and me. It's just a physical characteristic. And see, that was the problem that I had between me and a couple friends of mine, Brad and Jim Bob. I had a friend ask me, why don't you ever use their real names? And I said, because I feel that those people were blocking my progression. And I want to try to close the door to some of the things that happened in that part of my life. Blindness is not a curse. Blindness is not an obstacle. And something that my vision resource teacher taught me, my first one, I used to go around first and second grade saying I'm handicapped. The first day of third grade, she took me aside. And she said, I don't want to ever hear you say that you're handicapped again. You're just as able as anybody else, James, and you know that. It's just a physical characteristic. I prefer to say disabled over handicapped because there's not as much stigma, or at least there shouldn't be. But the problem is our reactive culture likes to put labels on people. And so I think really, Heavenly Father allowed me to be born blind so that I could see those traps, those little speed bumps on the way to progression and happiness. Because, it's like my friend Brad's like, but you're legally blind. Why would you even care to go look at cars? I don't want to go with you to look at cars. I'm like, yeah. I like big hulking SUVs. I like riding in them because they're for this guy who's had 2 falls, 2 broken bones in his body, 1 leg and a skull. You know, if I'm riding, I like to ride in something that's pretty good and protective, you know. But you see, blindness doesn't need to be a death sentence. I learned a lot of things. Because you see, when I got out of Chris Cole Rehabilitation Center, I started college. A little over a semester in college, I got approached by the head of the tutoring lab saying, "We want you to work in our lab teaching blind people how to use the technology." I learned fast. I started learning some of the Braille. Thanks to my best friend Keith, God rest his soul. I learned how to use a slate and a stylus. You know, so it's a fun time. Being blind, I gotta be honest with you, after receiving those talks, I discovered it wasn't such a bad idea. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. And you may say, but legally blind is not blind. Guys, according to the National Federation of the Blind, it is. It is. And I just want to tell people, hey, stop carrying the stigma around of what people think about certain disabilities. Because I'll tell you something. Stigma is another word for label. And label is another tactic of the reactive culture, which is set for by you-know-who. The enemy of our souls. And many of you've listened to me over the years. You know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the enemy of our souls. Satan, Hasatan, Lucifer. Now, do I wish at times that I could hop in a car and go and do what I want? Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I do. I really do. Especially when I'm feeling isolated. But the good news is, God made me perfect in His image. And God made you perfect in His image. So don't sit around and wait and just wail and say, you know, well, I'm just this way and there's nothing I can do about it. Don't give in to Satan's lies. There was a time this past weekend when I gave in to Satan's lies. Let me tell you something, you don't have to. You don't have to. Listen to me, you don't have to. God loves you so very much. Now, I hope you enjoyed listening to the Strenuous Life Radio. If you like this, please subscribe, become a citizen of Pattern Realm. Please share this with Mama San, Papa San, and everyone. This is Jimi Hendrix saying until next time, don't you just sit there and take it. Build your dreams so you can take it. Do what others want so you can be what others... do what others don't so you can be what others won't. Do what others want so you can have what others can't. Choose, act, and pursue happiness. God bless you.